Sumit Singh arrest. Yes, you heard it right. Jenny Slatten's husband, Sumit Singh, has been arrested. In the glamorous world of reality television, love stories often touch our hearts. But behind the cameras, the real story can be much darker than what we see on screen. Sumit Singh got into almost $280,000 of debt through online gambling websites. He even kept asking Jenny Slatten to help him pay off this huge debt, without telling her the full truth at first. When Sumit couldn't repay the money, a lawsuit was filed against him and he was arrested. The court sentenced Sumit Singh to 1 year in prison. After the truth came out, things became even more painful. Jenny was under a lot of stress and going through many problems, so she eventually had no choice but to divorce him. Later, to start fresh, Jenny married a man named Zach. This is not just a sad love story. It's a warning about secrets, betrayal, and trying to survive in the middle of chaos. To understand how serious the situation was, we first need to understand what Jenny gave up. Jenny Slatten wasn't just another reality TV star. She was a woman from Palm Springs, California, who was close to retirement when she fell in love online. What started as small chats turned into something much more serious. On the other side of the world, in India, Sumit Singh also felt a strong connection. He was much younger, full of energy, and wanted to prove that age didn't matter when it came to love. When Jenny first came on 90 Day Fiancé, the other way, people saw her as someone full of hope. She left behind her quiet, stable life in the US to follow love in a completely different country. Her friends and family questioned her, but she stayed strong. For her, love was worth every risk. Sumit acted like a loving partner. He helped Jenny handle cultural changes, stood up to his strict family, and promised her a happy future. On the outside, it looked like a real-life fairy tale. An older American woman finding true love with a younger Indian man, something most people thought couldn't happen. But there were problems hiding behind their smiles. Sumit had secrets he hadn't shared. Jenny, in love, believed she had found her forever partner. In the beginning, their relationship had many ups and downs, drama with his family, money issues, and people constantly judging their relationship. But Jenny fought hard. She believed love could win, even across cultures. And for a while, it seemed like she was right. But Jenny didn't know about the dark secret Sumit was hiding. A secret that would break their marriage, take him to court, and leave her heartbroken. While fans watched them on TV, Sumit was living a double life. He made promises to Jenny, but behind her back, addiction was taking over. Jenny thought she had moved across the world for love, but instead, she walked into a storm that would turn her life upside down. In the beginning, they looked like a strong couple. They had survived distance, doubt, and harsh judgment from both countries. But small cracks started to show. One major crack was Sumit's family. His parents never supported his relationship with Jenny. In India, tradition and family expectations are strong. Their age difference was seen as shocking. Jenny was old enough to be his mother, and his parents felt ashamed of the relationship. Jenny felt this rejection every day. She just wanted to be accepted, to feel like part of the family. But every time she tried, she was met with coldness. His parents never accepted her. This rejection hurt Jenny deeply. Sumit felt trapped between his love for Jenny and his need for his parents' approval, which never came. This stress started to damage their relationship. They started arguing more. Happy moments became rare. Silence grew between them. Jenny started asking questions. Why do they hate me? Why can't we just be happy? But family problems weren't the only issue. There were strange signs. Sumit would act distracted or anxious. He often stayed up late on his phone or laptop. Jenny thought it was just stress from the family situation. But something else was going on. Sometimes, Sumit would be in a very good mood. Other times, he was tense and distant. Jenny didn't see the pattern. She told herself he's just tired. He's dealing with a lot. But the truth was, Sumit was being pulled into a dark world she didn't know existed. The cracks got bigger when money issues started. Jenny was living on her small retirement savings, and she noticed things weren't adding up. Bills were paid late. Their bank account looked strange. When she asked, Sumit always had an excuse. He forgot there was a delay or some error. Jenny wanted to trust him. She had left everything behind for this man. Questioning him felt like doubting her own decisions. So she stayed quiet and chose to believe him. But anyone who watches 90 Day Fiancé knows love can sometimes make people ignore red flags. Jenny did the same. She didn't see the signs of a much bigger problem. To outsiders, they still looked like the couple who beat the odds. But inside their home, things were falling apart. Jenny's story was changing from a love story to one of survival. For months, Jenny ignored the signs. The late nights, the sudden mood swings, the money issues. She believed Sumit when he said he was just stressed. She told herself that all couples have hard times. But she didn't know that her husband was fighting a private battle. And he was already losing. It started in a small way, or so Sumit thought. Just a little curiosity. He tried online poker, then a few bets on sports. The gambling platforms were easy to use. A few clicks and he was hooked. The lights, the spinning wheels, the thrill. It all gave him a break from real life. When his parents rejected Jenny, when people judged their age gap, when things got tough, Sumit turned to gambling for comfort. The risk made him feel alive. At first, he only bet small amounts. A few $100s lost here, a small win there. Jenny didn't notice. And when she asked, Sumit said it was just for fun. But gambling never stays small. Winning made him overconfident. Losing made him desperate. The bets got bigger. Soon he owed thousands, then tens of thousands, and he kept thinking he could win it all back. By the time Jenny realized something was wrong, Sumit was already buried in nearly $280,000 of debt. He had borrowed from online lenders, maxed out credit cards, and taken loans with huge interest rates. The stress was unbearable. Emails demanding money filled his inbox. He got strange phone calls day and night. But even then, he couldn't stop. Jenny noticed more changes. Sumit always rushed to answer the phone. He looked nervous using his laptop. Money disappeared from their shared account. When Jenny asked about it, Sumit got angry. "Why don't you trust me?" he would yell. He blamed her for doubting him. Jenny, still in love, stepped back. "Of course I trust you," she said. "I left everything for you." But deep inside, she knew something was terribly wrong. Sumit's gambling wasn't just ruining their finances, it was destroying their emotional bond too. Sumit's moods changed based on his gambling. When he won, he was happy and loving toward Jenny. When he lost, he became distant, angry, and mean. Jenny started to feel like she was living with two different people. One was kind and full of love, and the other seemed lost in something dark. The sad truth about addiction is that it can't stay hidden forever. Secrets always come out, and Sumit's secret was about to be exposed. One night, Jenny was using Sumit's laptop and accidentally found a series of emails. They weren't from friends or family. They were from loan companies, debt collectors, and gambling websites. The subject lines made her feel sick. Final notice. Payment due now. Overdue account. Her hands shook as she read the amounts. Thousands and thousands of dollars were owed to people she had never even heard of. With each message, her heart dropped. The man she loved and had given up everything for was living a double life. When she confronted Sumit, his face turned pale. First, he tried to lie. Then he blamed stress and said gambling helped him cope. But Jenny pushed for the truth, and finally, everything came out. The losses, the loans, and the $280,000 debt that now hung over them like a dark cloud. Jenny felt like the world around her was falling apart. Everything she had sacrificed, everything she believed in, suddenly felt like a mistake. Love had brought her across the world, but now lies had trapped her in a nightmare. And it got worse. Sumit didn't just admit what he did. He begged Jenny to help him pay the debt. He said they could get through it together. But for Jenny, it was no longer about the money. It was about trust. And once trust is broken, it's very hard to fix. Jenny didn't know it yet, but this secret wasn't only going to take away her peace. It was about to pull her into a legal mess that would change both of their lives forever. Their problems could no longer be hidden. Everything was falling apart, and soon the entire world would see. Debt grows fast. What starts as one small mistake can quickly turn into a huge problem. For Sumit, the $280,000 wasn't just a number. It was a disaster he couldn't escape. For Jenny, it was the start of the darkest time in her life. At first, Jenny tried to believe in him. When he cried and told her the truth, she wanted to believe this was just a one-time mistake, something they could fix together. She told herself, love means forgiveness. Maybe if I stay, he'll change. But Sumit didn't change. Instead of stopping, he gambled even more. He told himself that if he could just win big one time, everything would be fine. He could pay off the loans. Jenny would forgive him. Maybe even his parents would respect him. But that big win never came. Every loss made things worse. The interest on the loans kept growing. Collection calls became more threatening. Some lenders even started talking about going to court. Jenny was stuck in the middle of it. She had retired and was living on limited savings. She had never imagined her life would turn out like this. Now every dollar mattered. Even buying groceries became stressful. The bills were overwhelming. Their once happy home was now filled with silence and tension. Sumit started pressuring Jenny even more. He begged her to help him pay his debts. He said she was his only hope. At first, Jenny said no. I can't do this, Sumit. I don't have that kind of money. I came here for love, not to fix your mistakes, she said. But Sumit didn't stop. His words turned into guilt. Didn't you say you'd be with me no matter what? You left everything for me. Then prove it. Help me. Just a little. Jenny felt trapped. She had already sacrificed so much. Now, the man she trusted with her life was asking for her financial security too. In the background, things got worse. Creditors were getting louder. Some sent legal letters. Others showed up in person, demanding payment. Jenny became afraid to answer the phone or check the mailbox. Every knock at the door felt like danger. Then, people in their neighborhood started hearing about the gambling debts. Gossip spread. People who once admired Jenny for her strength and love now looked at her with pity or judgment. She had fought so hard for her relationship, but now she felt ashamed. Sumit was drowning, and he was pulling her down too. The final blow came when Jenny found out that Sumit had secretly pawned some of her belongings. Jewelry, electronics, even small sentimental items were gone. When she asked him why, his answer was cold. I had no choice, he said. It was either that or let them come after me harder. Jenny was heartbroken. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about betrayal she could see. The numbers kept growing. The debt became impossible to repay. What started as bad gambling choices had now become a full-blown legal disaster. Creditors began filing lawsuits. Lawyers got involved. Whispers about legal trouble became real. Jenny spent sleepless nights staring at the ceiling, asking herself, how did I get here? She had moved across the world for love. She had fought for a marriage that few people believed in. And now, she was watching everything fall apart because of lies and debt. The debt wasn't just about money. It became emotional and mental too. It affected every part of Jenny's life. And slowly, she realized she couldn't save Sumit or their marriage. But the debt collectors didn't care about emotions or heartbreak. They wanted their money. And when they didn't get it, they took the next step. They filed an official case against Sumit Singh. Now, Jenny and Sumit's story wasn't just about a failed relationship. It was turning into a court case the world would hear about. Debt isn't just about numbers. It's heavy. It's like a shadow that follows you all day and night. For Jenny, that shadow became a scream she couldn't ignore. The truth couldn't be hidden anymore. Sumit had lost $280,000 to online gambling. Lawsuits were piling up. Creditors wouldn't stop calling. And the life Jenny had dreamed of, a simple, peaceful life in India, was slipping away. Sumit wasn't just hurting himself anymore. He was dragging Jenny down with him. At first, his words were desperate. Jenny, please. You're all I have. If you don't help me, I'll lose everything, he cried. But Jenny didn't know if his tears were real anymore. Jenny tried to stay strong. Sumit, I can't. I don't have that kind of money. I left everything behind for you. My savings are limited, she told him. But he didn't give up. He kept pushing. You get a pension. You have something saved. Just help a little. I'll pay it back. I swear. Jenny shook her head. She had already given him more than she could. But the debt kept growing. The collectors kept calling. Then Sumit's tone changed again. He made her feel guilty. So all the times you said you love me, were those lies? You won't even help me now, after everything I've done for you. Jenny's hand shook. She had stood by him when his family rejected them. She had left her life behind for him. And now, he was making her feel like the bad person. The pressure was unbearable. Every morning started with money questions. Every night ended in arguments. Jenny didn't feel like a wife anymore. She felt like a prisoner, trapped between her love for Sumit and the reality of what he was asking from her. The worst part was the fear. She was afraid of what might happen if she didn't help him. Sumit's moods were unstable. Sometimes he would walk around the apartment, talking to himself in a panic. Other times he sat quietly, staring at nothing, like he was lost in his own world. Jenny was afraid of what he might do to himself or to her. The calls from creditors got worse. Some were calm but firm. Others were angry and threatening. Every time the phone rang, Jenny froze. Her stomach twisted in knots. Neighbors began to whisper. People in their building had. Noticed the visits from debt collectors, the arguments that spilled into the hallways, the late-night shouting. Matches. Jenny, once proud of the love she had defended on television, now felt humiliated and ashamed. There was no peace left. Sumit's demands reached a breaking point one evening when he stood over Jenny, his voice shaking with anger. If you don't help me, Jenny, they'll ruin me. Do you understand? They'll take everything and it'll be on. You that you're my wife. You're supposed to help me. Jenny, her eyes filled with tears, whispered the only truth she had left. I can't save you, Sumit. Not from this. Not from yourself. The words hung heavy in the air. For the first time, Jenny allowed herself to see what was happening. This wasn't just about debt. This was about control. This was about a man who had gambled away not just money, but trust, love, and the very foundation of their marriage. Still, the pressure never stopped. Each day brought new demands, new fights, new heartbreak. And, slowly, Jenny realized something she had never wanted to admit. Love alone was not enough anymore. The woman who had left everything behind for love was now being asked to give up the last thing she had, her dignity, her safety, and her sanity. Jenny's heart was breaking, and soon so would their marriage, because the more precious Sumit placed on her, the more certain she became that their love story was over. The truth always has a way of surfacing. You can bury it under lies, cover it with excuses, or distract with empty promises, but eventually it rises. And for Jenny Slatten, the truth about Sumit Singh's double life came crashing down in a way she could no longer ignore. For weeks, Jenny had lived under suffocating pressure. The constant begging, the relentless phone calls, the late night arguments that left her in tears. She had given Sumit the benefit of the doubt more times than she could count. She had told herself he was stressed, that maybe he exaggerated the numbers, that perhaps things weren't as dire as they seemed. But the truth was far worse than she ever imagined. It began with an envelope, a thick official-looking packet that arrived by courier one humid afternoon. Jenny's name wasn't on it, but the address matched theirs. With trembling hands, she placed it on the table, waiting for Sumi to come home. But curiosity and fear gnawed at her. She opened it. Inside were documents, stamped and signed detailing Najwit's filed against Sumit Singh. The numbers leaped off the page. $280,000. In outstanding debt with multiple creditors demanding immediate repayment. Interest charges, legal fees, threats of asset seizures, and the most chilling line of all, a notice of pending court action. Jenny's heart sank. The excuses he had fed her, the small losses, the temporary setbacks were lies. Every word he had spoken was carefully crafted to hide the scale of his destruction. By the time Sumit walked through the door, that evening, Jenny was waiting. The paper spread across the table like evidence in a courtroom. Explain this, she demanded, her voice shaking with anger. Sumit froze, his face drained of color. For a moment, he tried to deny it, reaching for excuses. These aren't what you think. They're just misunderstandings, paperwork errors. But Jenny cut him off. Stop lying to me. $280,000, Sumit. You told me it wasn't that bad. You told me you had it under control. Do you even know what you've done? The apartment fell silent, the weight of her words pressing down on them both. Sum sank into a chair, his head in his hands. For the first time, the bravado was gone. The charm, the excuses, the guilt tripping, all of it collapsed. Under the mountain of truth. I didn't mean for it to get this far, he whispered. I thought I could fix it. I thought I could win it back. Jenny's eyes filled with tears, but not of sympathy. These were tears of betrayal. You didn't just lose money, Sumit. You lost me. You lost everything we built. The confrontation opened a floodgate. Jenny began connecting the dots. The porn belongings, the strange visitors, the endless nights glued to his laptop. Every odd behavior suddenly made sense. The man she had defended to the world, the man she had believed in when no one else did, had been hiding a secret that threatened not only their marriage, but her very sanity. That night, Jenny barely slept. She replayed every moment of their relationship, every sacrifice she had made. She remembered the ridicule she endured from strangers online, the scorn from Sumit's family, the whispers from neighbors. Through it all, she had stood tall, believing that love would be enough. But love cannot survive lies this big. The next morning, she made a choice. For the first time, Jenny began to think not about saving Sumit, but about saving herself. The days that followed were a blur of legal letters, angry phone calls, and painful silences. Sumit, broken and cornered, oscillated between begging for forgiveness and lashing out in frustration. Jenny, drained and heartbroken, grew colder. Her trust was gone, and with it, her hope for the future. The truth was no longer something hidden. It was printed in black and white, sealed and legal. Documents, stamped by the courts, and soon it would no longer just be a private chain. It would become public. Because lawsuits don't stay in envelopes forever. They lead to hearings, to police involvement, to headlines. And, for Jenny and Sumit, the world was about to watch their downfall unfold. The day the lawsuit arrived, everything changed. Until then, the dead had lived in the shadows, hidden behind Sumit's lies, buried under excuses, whispered in late night arguments. But now it was stamped with official seals signed by lawyers and delivered by the courts. For Jenny, it was the moment her worst fears were confirmed. This wasn't just a private problem anymore. This was the law. This was real.